Hi everyone, welcome back to video 2 for living a sustainable and happy lifestyle. For this video session, I'm going to be talking about efficiency within energy supplies, and I'm also going to be talking about usage of or non-usage of chemicals within the household. Now, like a lot of you probably already know this, when it comes to cleaning around the house, whether it's doing the kitchen, the bathrooms, the toilets, the lounge, the bedrooms, the hallways, the porches, I always try to be efficient with the use of non-chemical, environmentally friendly products, such as products for cleaning the kitchen work surfaces, especially around the kitchen sink and the taps and the hobs on the stove, which are pretty much the hardest parts. And then the hardest parts being in the bathroom, in the sink and the bath and the toilet. Now, there are a lot of products. I personally don't like to use chemicals at all. Now, a lot of you probably think they probably know more than what I do, but I tend to use white vinegar, and I do not dilute it. And I only might use, a couple of capfuls per litre. If it's a bit of a harder sort of cleaning scrub you need, maybe concentrate it a bit more. But with basically using white spirit and water for sort of, doing the sink, doing the taps, doing the steel hobs around the cooker and doing the cooker front, and then also doing the toilet bowl and the sinks in the bathroom and the toilet. Now, I've heard this as well, and I have used it before, and it's pretty good as well. Using lemon and water as well, that's another alternative. And if you do get a residue, just wipe the residue afterwards when it dries, if there is any residue. So I try not to use any bleaches in the toilets or down any sink holes, plug holes, whether it's in the bathroom or the toilet. And pretty much when it comes to the furniture, I use standard furniture, natural furniture wax, and that's pretty much not too damaging for the environment at all. And there are some eco-friendly furniture waxes out there for polishing your furniture as well. Hoovering, I try to hoover. I know some of you might think this, but I try and hoover as little as I possibly can. I actually go around picking dirt off the floor rather than going around hoovering. Now, I know over a period of time, when it comes to hoovering, a lot of people think, the dust builds up and it builds up and builds up. So, a month later, you're thinking like you've got a layer of dust on the carpet and, you need to hoover that up. But I do tend to try and be efficient with cleaning around the house and being efficient with energy. So I do tend to go around the house on the carpets and just go around picking up bits of dirt, which basically I can see. So I do that. So trying to use as little amount of electricity as possible. Now, I'm not sure if some of you realise the windows can be a bit of a nightmare, and they're pretty good as well with the malt vinegar, the spirit vinegar, with a bit of water, and then spray that over with a pump spray, and then clean it down with a bit of newspaper, or if not a piece of newspaper, a bit of cloth, and do the windows that way as well. But I personally do just use water. If it needs a bit more, then I might put some white spirit vinegar in there as well. But most of the time, all paint work, I usually just go over with a damp cloth, and that's it. So the job's done. So done the carpets with the hoovering and walking around with just picking up pieces of dirt from the carpet, and then with the sinks and the bathrooms and the kitchen, toilet, bathroom, you know, I use the white spirit vinegar and water, a couple of capsules per litre. So that's that done. And the same with the toilet bowl and the sinks, you know, white spirit vinegar and water, 2 caps per litre. And then, of course, gone through with the skirting boards and all the woodwork, just go over the damp cloth, so we've done that section as well. So pretty much cleaning around the house, I think that's pretty much it, really. Now, when it comes to chemicals, I don't like them. And especially when it comes to the garden. So I personally don't like using fungicides. I don't like using herbicides. I don't like using pesticides. And I don't even like using chemical fertilizers. So with the garden and around the, you know, the window boxes and things like that, I just go around manual cleaning it, manual weed pulling. And that's it. That's all I do. Now, to retain weeds, sometimes there is an alternative. You can put a membrane around the top of the soil and then put mulch over the top, but you know what? There are artificial fibres being used to make them, so I personally don't use it. So I literally just mulch. I mulch everywhere. If you've got about a 2-inch to 3-inch mulch on the top of your soil, that keeps the weeds down. And whereas, you know, with the paving, I mean, the paving situation is pretty easy with weeding. I mean, at the end of the day, they don't like vinegar, if you can believe it. They do not like vinegar. So a bit of vinegar in the water and put that between the cracks, that actually does destroy the weeds pretty well. But the better thing would be to do is to point it with a mortar mix, a 3-to-1 mix of cement and sand. Put that between all your paving slabs, or if you've got a bit of brickwork which was you know, getting weeds growing in it, then just mortar it. Just put a pointing mix over it to stop any seeds from being able to self-seed in the paving or in the walling. So that's another alternative. Fungicides, I personally think, you know what, we should be encouraging fungal growth, to be honest, because fungus are actually depreciating in their population because so many people are going out, you know, looking for fungi and looking for mushrooms, that they're not leaving enough of the mushroom behind for it to be able to spread spores the following year. So the traces of the mushrooms are being taken away and destroyed. So I personally don't like using any fungicide because I'm actually wanting to encourage fungicide in my garden. If I see fungal growth, I'll encourage it. So fungicide, forget it. Weed killers, forget it. I don't use weed killers. Like I said, like with the white spirit vinegar, use that 2 to 3-to-1 per litre. Put that between the cracks or mortar over. So we've covered that section. Then I don't like using fertilizers either. If you put a mulch over the top of your plants, that's feeding them. That's actually a very slow, organically way of feeding your plants. I also do composting. So if you've got any compost which is going in the compost bin, over about 6 months to a year, that will become a good enough compost. Put that on top of the plants, or dig that into the plants when you dig a hole for the plants in the plants up, and then put a mulch over the top. You good as gold. That's brilliant. That's done. So that also retains the weeds. That also retains the moisture during the summer, and it also is a slow release fertilizer. Yeah. So, and I think with chemicals, anything else chemicals wise, I can't think of anything else. But the thing is, there are some alternative to chemicals out there, such as using the wildlife. If you encourage wildlife into your garden, they will peck at those pests. So pesticides, I don't like using any pesticides at all. So we pretty much covered that section for not using any chemicals within the house or within the garden. Now, the next thing I'm going to be coming to is efficiency with energy. Now, I know that I'm going into depth for this because this is also, you know, from a little toddler right the way up to grandma and granddad, you know, for all ages. So I am going over the basics with these first few programs of the videos of my YouTube blog. Now, efficiency with energy. Now, the way I look at it, there shouldn't be any plug in any socket unless you're using it. If you're using it, plug it in, turn it on, use it. As soon as you finish using it, turn the plug off at the socket, pull the plug out, job's done. So only use the appliance when you need it. If you're not using it, pull out the plug, turn the plug off, that's it. Now, when it comes to recharging, only recharge your products when they're completely decharged, because every time you recharge it and it hasn't properly discharged, you're actually reducing the level of your battery life. So whenever you're using an item, don't plug it in unless you need to plug it in and it's got no energy left at all. Now, with lights, I only turn lights on and keep the lights on when I'm in the room. Turn it off if you're not in the room. Walking out of the room, you're not in that room anymore, turn the lights off. That's another way. With energy supplies like that, I also turn the fridge freezer right down during the winter, because that fridge doesn't have to be working so hard during the winter. During the summer, you need to like keep it cooler, so you know you've got to slightly change the temperature in the fridge because of it being warmer outside and, you know, in the kitchen. Now, the next thing I'm going to be going to is, I'm thinking hard about this because I'm really trying to think what's next. Water, showers, bath. Have a shower, don't have a bath. You know, I only have a shower twice a week. Now, some of you think, oh, stinky, he doesn't have a shower, only has a shower twice a week. Well, I'm doing that because I'm trying to reduce my use of water. And the other thing is, when you're in the kitchen and you're doing the washing up, do the washing up in one big go. You know, if you haven't got a dishwasher, which is pretty much the most efficient way of using water, if you haven't got a dishwasher, pile up the washing up until there's enough to fill up the sink, and then do it all in one go, rather than little bits here and little bits there, because you're using more water. So, and also when you're cleaning your teeth, turn the tap off. Turn the tap off when you're not using it. You know, brush your teeth, and then when your teeth and you're spitting and the toothpaste out of your mouth after you've cleaned it, then put the tap on, but don't keep the tap running. And with the toilets, you know what, you got a little button. Some buttons have like an eco system, where it's a little flush if you just for urinal use, or for larger subjects going down the toilet, then you need to put it on a bigger flush. But you know, if you only need a little flush and if you've only used the urinal for going for the toilet, just basically a little flush, and for bigger jobs, big flush. That's it. So try and use the water as cautiously as possible. Now, I do not use hose pipe in the house either, so I'm very, very efficient within water. I actually have 2 water butts in the house, in the garden, so I save water that way by saving water from the rain, and then I put that onto the plants during the summertime. Don't need to use it during the winter, but during the summertime when there's less rain, I use the water from the water butt. And I also use water from the old washing up water, and I use that and I put that into a butt, and then I use that for watering the plants as well. So that's another alternative. Now, I think I've pretty much got to the end of this video, but it's basically being efficient with energy. When we get to our next video, then it'll be like within the next week, and who'd be surprised about what am I going to think of on our next subject for next week. So here I go. I'm out of here. Be positive, think positive, act positive, and just be nice to people. It doesn't cost anything to be nice. Have a good day, everyone. Look after yourselves. And this is me. I'm out of here. Have a good day, everyone. Take care. Bye.